The Senate will be attentive to the clerk.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, to which was referred House Bill 707FN, an act requiring the Department of Environmental Services to revise the rules for proposed new landfills. Having considered the same, the committee recommends that the bill is ought to pass with an amendment by a vote of 5-0. Senator Pearl for the committee.
Senator Pearl.
Thank you, Madam President. I move HB 707 ought to pass with amendment. I rise today to speak in support of this bill, which establishes the Solid Waste Facility Site Evaluation Committee. This committee will play a critical role in ensuring that applications for new solid waste facilities are thoroughly and transparently reviewed. By creating a dedicated body to evaluate these applications, this bill ensures that decisions on solid waste facilities will be based on consistent criteria, sound science, and careful consideration of public health and environmental impacts. This bill will also impose a temporary pause on new landfill development until July of 2027, giving the state time to implement long-term strategies for waste management. This bill is about responsible oversight that protects our communities and ensures that any new solid waste facility meets state standards before moving forward. The Energy and Natural Resources Committee respectfully asks for your support for HB 707 as ought to pass with amendment. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Pearl. The prevailing motion is ought to pass with amendment. The bill is now on second reading. The first order of business is the committee amendment. Is there any discussion on the committee amendment? The question is on the adoption of the committee amendment. Are you ready for the question? All in favor say aye. 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 All opposed say no. No. The ayes have it, and the committee amendment is adopted. The bill is on second reading. Is there any further discussion or amendments? And I recognize Senator Rochefort to introduce his floor amendment.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise to offer Amendment 2026-0046. This amendment, if adopted, would replace what we just voted on. And talking about this issue, and you've all heard me talk about this issue a lot. This is an issue that seems to be Groundhog Day. And here we are again, just a month short of that, and we're talking about this again. You know, looking at this underlying bill that we just voted on, some may argue that the amended bill is necessary to deliver broad benefits to New Hampshire, a public benefit. However, when you review what the state landfill capacity is, it shows that we have sufficient capacity in this state until approximately 2034, and that's without taking into account all the already planned expansions in our existing facilities. Make no mistake, this legislation is targeted at a single project. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of my district and of my constituents, it offers to benefit not the whole state, but a single project operator. After years of litigation and untold sums of legal fees, the little town of Bethlehem ultimately reached a settlement with a landfill operator. That agreement, entered into both sides in good faith, was legally binding and accepted by all parties. They thought the fight was over. Here we find ourselves today, and this legislation would effectively void that agreement unilaterally without the consent or input of one of the parties. You hear the term pull the rug out. This bill pulls the rug out from under a deal that was lawfully negotiated and settled. The proper way to change or exit an agreement is not through legislation like this, but by placing the question on a town ballot and allowing the people of Bethlehem to decide. They entered into the agreement, and they should retain the right to determine whether they wish to remain in it. And I'm going to tell you right now, that process is underway as we speak for the town meeting in March. So knowing that, and knowing that we have two other bills introduced into committee coming up this year, the question becomes, why do we need this bill now? Many have raised serious concerns about the constitutionality of this approach. So why enter into this approach if we know we will be in court again, whether it's the town of Bethlehem or the state of New Hampshire? I I want to recognize the work of the committee, and it's not lost on me that this came out 5-0. And I want to thank all those involved, and I honor and respect that. And in that light, the amendment that I'm offering preserves nearly all of the original language in what we just heard. And the amendment also, in preserving that language, it also ensures that the ultimate decision on whether we unwind an agreement rests with the people that entered into the agreement, and that's the local community. It respects the rule of law, honors local control, and allows the people most affected to choose their path forward. So I would ask that you support the amendment, and I ask for a roll call.
Thank you very much, Senator Rochefort. Again, the bill is on, let's see, we're discussing floor amendment number 0046. Senator Waters to speak.
Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. I rise in support of this amendment. And, you know, I think we all know that we have talked about this, and we've had so many bills over the last 10 years. I think it could fill a dump truck, let alone a landfill, with the efforts that we put into it. And, you know, in many ways we have made a lot of progress. I think back to almost 10 years ago when we had the Solid Waste Study Committee chaired by Chairman Ebel, and I was on that, and that gave us the 10-year solid waste plan and a lot of other good progress on that. And we've made some progress on recycling and other things. So this has been the one issue, however, on the landfills, where we just back and forth between the House and Senate, we just keep talking trash, you know, and we have bills that come over from them and we don't like it, that we think we've amended something, so and have agreement over there that they can pass, and we send it back, and it gets shot down again. So I really think this effort is important, and I really applaud the leadership of Governor Ayotte in House Bill 2, where she put together this site evaluation committee language. I think this is a good way to go. We fairly recently revised the whole site evaluation committee process for the PUC, trying to find a way to make it work so investment can happen here and that big projects that can be done, and recognizing that, yes, some things are statewide and we have to somehow mitigate or balance what local control there may be with the greater needs of the economy. We did it for the PUC, and so I think this model that the governor presented makes a lot of sense. And I also really want to applaud the leadership of the senator from District 17. I mean, just the work on these bills over the last couple of years, and especially since we got HB2, and just trying to find a way forward. And I think we're almost there, but this amendment does a couple of important things. I do think that we need to at least give an opportunity for some local control here. There is a legal agreement. On the other hand, my understanding of it is that it is potentially subject to renegotiation at some point in time anyways, but nonetheless, you know, even this bill proposes, both versions propose a one-year moratorium, and I think it's important, you know, not to circumvent the process of the local deliberation on the agreement with Casella. And there's some other things too in the amendment here that, as the sponsor says, it's very much what is in what the committee recommended, but there are a couple of places where I think there's some important recognition of local role that we would all want for our communities, and yet I still think with this amendment it would be possible to get the appropriate expansions and siting done through this new process. And then lastly, I will say that why do this now? I think we have an opportunity to get this done. I think if we send the amended version over across the wall, that we have a chance to get some concurrence and to get this finally finished. Otherwise, we're going to go into recycling mode, right? We're going to see new bills here. They're going to see new bills there. And I don't think I really doubt we'll pass anything. And there we are. You know, there we are. And it leaves everybody in the lurch. It really leaves us with no kind of rational way forward. So I think there's a real opportunity here That's why I think that if we can do this amendment now, I really do think we can get this over the finish line. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Waters. To just refresh, we are talking about floor amendment 0046. Is there any further discussion? Senator Pearl?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the spirit in which this amendment was brought, and I agree with a lot of the comments that my colleagues have made. You know, we all recognize that there's a public benefit aspect of solid waste disposal in our state. And I think the bill that we've presented, and I'll remind the body that we've all passed the language that we just passed in this amendment. We've passed it out earlier in the session, in the last session, I guess now actually, and we put it in the budget, and it was a well-negotiated, well-crafted piece of language. Is it perfect? Probably not. I'm sure that depending on who you ask, there are some who don't think it's perfect. Obviously, we have an amendment here. My concern with the amendment is there's a financial impact that the committee has not had an opportunity to look at. The changes that make will greatly financially impact the state of New Hampshire through a couple of different avenues, and I'm not ready to do that on a floor amendment. If we're going to go in and offer an amendment like this that's really going to have a financial impact on this state, then I think it needs to go through the committee. Have the committee have the opportunity to properly vet the changes that are suggested. They may be valid, but I don't know right now. I do know there will be a financial impact to the state if we pass this amendment. And I'm not comfortable doing that. And I want to make sure that the Senate has an understanding that there'll be opportunities. We have other bills that are coming forward. If we decided we wanted to pass some language that something like this, we could put it on another bill. But I don't think it's advisable to the Senate today to pass this as a floor amendment without the full Senate, and especially the committee, having the opportunity to understand the impact. So I would encourage you to please vote down this amendment. Let's send the bill forward as it is, and we can have further discussion. The House is certainly able to do that if they choose to, the body on the other side of the wall. So thank you, and I would respectfully ask you to vote down the amendment.
Thank you, Senator Pearl. Senator Rosenwald, do you want to be recognized to speak, or, okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, I rise in support of this floor amendment, and I thank my colleague from District 17 for bringing up the fact that there might be financial implications. And just looking back at the FN report, this bill is scheduled to go to finance, so we'll all get another crack at looking at what is the potential cost. Thank you.
The question is on the adoption of floor amendment 0046. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? A roll call has been requested by Senator Rochefort, seconded by Senator Avard. Senator Perkins-Coca would like to ask a question of
order, Madam President, or maybe a quick question for the senator from District 1 to just clarify one administrative thing. Is the floor amendment in front of us today 003? See, we have 0035, and so I think the Senate President just said 0046, but I understand one word was changed.
Actually, it's 3 dates were changed.
Okay.
And when this was drafted, it was another year, and in drafting the floor amendment, you know, like many people this time of year, you get, it's going to take me till July to write 26. But the text is the same. The intent is the same. There are 3 dates in there that were just moved to recognize the fact that we're in a different year.
Yeah, and I had seen that. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you. A roll call requested by Senator Rochefort and Senator Avard. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Rochefort.
Yes.
Senator Lang.
No.
Senator McConkey.
No.
Senator Waters.
Yes.
Senator Prentice.
Yes.
Senator Gray.
No.
Senator Innes.
No.
Senator Ward.
Nope.
Senator Ricciardi.
Yes.
Senator Fenton.
Yes.
Senator McHugh.
No.
Senator Avard.
No.
Senator Rosenwald.
Yes.
Senator Reardon.
Yes.
Senator Murphy.
No.
Senator Pearl.
No.
Senator Sullivan.
Yes.
Senator Birdsey.
No.
Senator Long.
Yes.
Senator Perkins Polka.
Yes.
Senator Addis.
No.
Senator Gannon.
Yes.
Senator Altshuler.
Yes.
Senator Carson.
No. 12.
It was 12-12.
Okay.
So it failed.
Okay, the amendment has failed by a vote of 12 to 12. Okay. The question is on the adoption of ought to pass as amended on House Bill 707. Are you ready for the question? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. The motion of ought to pass as amended is adopted, and the bill is ordered to the Committee on Finance.